All right, guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today, I am in Taipei in Taiwan, and we're in the Xinyi district, which is kind of to the east of the center of the city. And we're going to check out this place behind me. So this is Flow Brewing, who are a relatively new brewery. They only formed about 2 years ago, and they've been in this location for about a year and a half. I've heard very, very good things about this brewery, so I'm really excited to go in and try their beers. So let's do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll have a look around, we'll try some of the beers. If they've got some food, we'll have a look at that as well. But yeah, very excited for this one. And as always, nice to be back in Taiwan. So I'll catch you guys in just a second. All right, guys. So yeah, this is the exterior of Flow Taproom. And you can see it is just on a kind of random street. But like I said earlier, over just kind of through there is Taipei 101. And yeah, this is the Xinyi district. So yeah. But there you are. Flow Taproom, Flow Brewing. You've got a nice wee plant on the side here, and yeah, they've got line pay as well, which is quite a popular thing here in Asia. So yeah, we'll go in and have a little look. So I'm actually here pretty much right at opening time, 5 p.m. Because I wanted to come in and start filming when it was quiet, and obviously, yeah, yeah, to get the tap list and get all these sections of the video nice, you need to come in early. But yeah, really lovely modern tap room. You can sit and watch the tennis and things. They've got really nice modern fittings behind the bar. They've got a nice kind of coastline artwork up there as well. And if you've been to the east coast of Taiwan, like Hualien and Kunding in the south as well, you'll see landscapes like this. It's beautiful. But yeah, it's pretty cool. They've got a fridge of goodies, which we'll look at a bit later on. Another kind of landscape there as well. And yeah, that is the tap room from the back. So yeah, I think it's about time to get started on some beers. So yeah, let's do it. All right, guys. Well, let's have a little look at the tap list then here at Flow Brewing in Xinyi in Taipei. Just for reference, we are here on the 16th of August 2025. So yeah, this is today's tap list. So yeah, they have the Drift up the top, which is a hazy double IPA. Then Sunset, the red double IPA. Clarity West Coast IPA. Serenity hazy IPA. Chipmunk, which I think is one of the guest beers, if I'm not mistaken, or it's a collaboration, sorry. Then yeah, the Amber Ale from Black Drongo. Alpha, which again is one of their own, and Omega, which is one of their own. So yeah, speaking roughly, New Taiwan dollars is a bit of a difficult currency to convert from, but yeah, for a large one, 320 New Taiwan dollars is in the region of, I think, about £10 sterling, something like that. Right.
Little less.
Little less.
It's about $9.
About $9 US. There we go, guys. So $9 US. That will be about £8 sterling. About 80 Hong Kong dollars. About 100 Swedish kroner for those of you watching in different places around the world. But yeah, that is a very nice little tap list here, and there's a lot of things I want to try. So yeah, let's get cracking with the next ones. All right, guys. Well, time for tasting number 1 then here at Flow Brewing in Taipei. So as I often do in these videos, I like to start off with something that's just nice, easy going, and there's a beer on the menu that's perfect for that. So beer number 1 is called Chipmunk. Comes in at 5% ABV, and this one is a dry hop lager, and it's brewed in collaboration with Black Drongo, who are from Yilan out on the east coast of Taiwan. Remember, the east coast of Taiwan is beautiful, lots of lovely mountains, lovely beaches and things. Yeah, go and check it out if you get the chance. So that's a brewery I'll need to remember to go and check out, because apparently they have their own tap room as well. But yeah, this one's an American dry hop lager, this one. Remember, the technical definition of a lager is a beer that undergoes fermentation at lower temperatures using bottom fermenting yeast. It's kind of what defines it. The ales, the ale typically ferment between sort of 8 and 12 degrees Celsius, whereas your ales are fermented using top fermenting yeast, sort of 15 to 18 degrees Celsius, something like that. So yeah, This one, lovely kind of blonde colour lager here. When it poured, it had a good finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of cream coloured head. You can see it's got a lovely sort of clarity to it as well. So yeah, with it being blonde, you could maybe compare it to the German Helles or the Czech Schweppli sort of styles like this, but it is American dry hop, so it might just be a sort of modern take on the kind of blonde lager style, if you like. We shouldn't try and put beer into boxes. We should just enjoy them for what they are. But yeah, not much in the way of visible carbonation with this one. As I said, lovely blonde colour to this. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One is the type of malt that you use. That goes a long way to determining your EBC rating or whatever scale you wish to use. Two, the length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a dark coloured beer. Any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well, but with lagers you don't often have to care about that, to be honest with you. But yeah, appearance-wise, nothing surprising about this one when you consider what style it is. Let's have a wee look at the nose and see what we've got. Oh yeah, right. First impression with this one is that it's really quite soft and quite juicy, but you do get that lovely kind of smoothness out of it as well. The thing I'm noticing about this one, I had a little chat with the guys behind the bar about the beer earlier. This one, you can tell from the sort of sweetness of the malt that it's American malt that's in here, I think. But the fruitiness, I think, might be amplifying that a little bit. But you've got everything that you want from this beer. So the backbone of the beer, you've got a little bit of like fresh white bready bread crust in there. You've got a little bit of like McVitie's digestive biscuit, some cracker, fresh kind of fluffy white bread. The thing that makes me say there's a bit of an American malt in here is just the sweetness and the smoothness. It's got a little bit of a kind of, yeah, it has got a little bit of like sweetness on top of it as well. There's a wee bit of like caramel, wee bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit. It's got everything you kind of want in the malt base here. So yeah, malty side of this one's really nice. You've got a lovely little bit of yeastiness in the back of the nose there as well. A little bit of a white bread and brown bread type character coming out of it. So yeah, yeasty side of this one is really nice as well. On the hoppy side of things, it's got kind of everything you'd expect. I mean, there's a little bit of, there's a little touch of earthiness in there, some nice floral aromaticity, good little bit of like fresh, wet, freshly cut grass kind of thing as well. And then you've got the fruity side of it too. So there's a little bit of like apricot, pineapple, maybe a little bit of softer mango and things as well. And I want to say there's a wee bit of like almost a kind of berryish sort of thing going on in this one. I'm quite intrigued, I have to say, by the aroma of this beer. There's maybe a bit of orange in there as well, like some sort of tangerine oranges. If it's American hops, my guess would be potentially Idaho 7 or Simcoe, or both, of course. And maybe a little bit of like Mosaic or something like that. But it's not quite giving me the earthiness that I might commonly expect from it's not giving me the earthiness that I might commonly expect from Mosaic. So yeah, really nice smelling beer, this one. As I say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beers before you get stuck into them. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one now and see what it's all about. So yeah, this is the Chipmunk, a collaboration with Black Drongo, a brewery from Yilan, out on the East Coast. A 5% American dry hop lager, Slanja. Yeah, going to say straight away, lovely beer to start with. It gives you enough dryness out of the lager, but it does, yeah, to me it feels more like one of a kind of American brewed lager rather than your sort of traditional German Czech sort of things. But yeah, it's really, really nice, this. So big thumbs up to both Black Drongo and Flo for this very, very good beer to kind of quench the thirst after it being outside in the heat of Taipei. But yeah, let's have a look at let's break down the flavour of this one and describe it for you. So yeah, the backbone of the beer in here You've got a lovely little bit of like a fresh brown bready bread crust in there. Further forward on that kind of middle third of your palate, there's a wee touch of woodiness. You get some Jacob's cream cracker above that, some wholemeal brown bread, fluffier white bread on top, and then yeah, at the dead centre of your tongue, you get that little oily circle where you get the sweetness out of the beer. There's a wee bit of straight up caramel in there, some McVitie's digestive biscuit. These are all things that you'd expect of a lager beer. Or a blonde lager at that. It's really nicely done on the malty side of things. On the back third of your palate with the yeasty side of the beer, for me, at its core, it's got a little bit more of a kind of grainy brown bread to it. And it's surrounded by a bit more of a fresh, kind of fluffy, white bready bread crust in that sense. And the yeasty character in this one lingers into the aftertaste too. But yeah, I think the malty side of this beer, into the aftertaste, it does get a little bit drier. It does feel that there's a little bit of Pilsner malt in there potentially. So yeah, I was told the malts that were in this one before, but I kind of forgot before we tasted it. But it's very nice nonetheless. Hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, there's a wee bit of earthiness in there, which backs up what I was thinking about Mosaic earlier on, just that wee bit of earthiness. As you come further forward, it's like a wee bit herbal and very slightly woody. That lingers into the aftertaste. And then yeah, as you come further forward, you get that nice floral aromaticity coming out of this one. Then round the front curve of your tongue, it's a little bit lighter, more grassy, and it's got that wet, freshly cut grass kind of thing going on with it too. But on the front third of your palate, yeah, you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So for me, this one, it's got a wee bit more of a kind of citrusy sort of thing going on with it. It smelled a little bit more tropical, I would say, but yeah, it's leaning more toward that citrusy side of things the more that I drink of it. But again, still very nice. So yeah, at the back of that front third of your palate, you've got a little bit of a slightly stronger kind of grapefruity type thing. Then as you move further forward from that, you get like the sort of softer, like there's a sort of kind of apricot-y type note for me, and that's as you reach the middle of that front of your palate. Maybe on top of that, there's a slightly juicier mango or something like that. Then into the front third of your palate, I actually find into the front half of that front third of your palate, sorry. To me, it gets a little bit more sort of lemon and limey almost, but there's a wee bit of an orangey, tangerine-y kind of thing to it as well. The lemony limey character that comes out of this makes me think a bit of potentially Centennial or Equinox maybe, but Citra would also give you the kind of tropical notes that are coming out of this beer and a little bit of that lemony limey character. So yeah, it's really nicely done, this one. It's not often that I drink an American dry hop lager. I kind of go for the more German traditional sort of things actually, and you don't find too many lagers like this in Hong Kong either. So yeah, this beer in a sense is a little bit of a novelty for me, but I really like this actually. They've got a solid recipe for this. But yeah, let's round off with the mouthfeel then. For me, mouthfeel wise, this one is I'd say it's light bodied, but it's top end of light bodied. It's got that little bit of oily slickness to it, which is quite nice, and that sort of brings out the fruity hoppy character of the beer. Carbonation gives you just a little bit of a prickle. IBU wise in this one, I feel it's got a little bit, I think it's about 20, 25-ish, something like that. Malt base is a wee bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle and sweeter on top. That sweetness does come out a wee bit there, and you can tell this is very fresh too, because you have that just little bit of you just get a little bit more bitterness and some almost slightly floral spiciness out of the beer. But yeah, lovely oily fruity character to this one. I have to say, this has been a very nice place to start. So yeah, this one was the Chipmunk, a collaboration with Black Drum from New Zealand, an American dry hop lager, 5% ABV. I really like this one. And also, just take a little look at the glass there. I'll put my face behind it. But yeah, the glasses that they have on for these beers. This is a 330ml one, incidentally, or sorry, 16-ounce American pint, I should say. This is very, very nice. So that's the end of your first tasting. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. All right, guys. So yeah, if you sit at the bar, you'll see There's a couple of awards there from the Hong Kong International Beer Festival and the Korean International Beer Association there. So, like I said, these guys are a relatively new brewery. They've been here for a year and a half. They've been on the go for about 2 years, but they've been working on their quality control quite a lot apparently, and they were confident of putting their beers abroad and going for some awards, and well, it paid off there. You can see a whole range of different medals. So there you are. Very nice. Right, guys, time for tasting number 2 then here at Flow Brewing in Taipei. So for this one, we are going to start looking at the more hoppy styles of beer, and this is a style that I've heard this brewery can do very, very well. And we're also quite lucky because this beer apparently is the last keg of this one. It's proved to be very, very popular. So yeah, I'm quite curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. But yeah, this beer is called Drift. It comes in at 8.5% ABV. It's a New England Hazy Imperial Double, whatever you want to call it, IPA. So yeah, when the beer poured, it came out with about a half finger of a frothy, I would have said cream-coloured head. That's faded away to just a kind of very thin, foamy layer. But you can see it's got a lovely sort of mango juice colour to it, this one. I love comparing New England IPA's appearances just to different fruit juices, because that really is what they remind me of. But yeah, it looks great, this one. It's not the soupiest and gloopiest of New England IPAs that I've come across before. And remember, the level of haze in these beers depends on oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. That can vary from beer to beer and brewery to brewery and so on. But yeah, this one I have to say it does look very, very nice. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation. Yeah, let's have a wee look at the nose of this one then and see what it's going to have in store for us. Oh yeah. I'm going to say straight away, this beer is going to be an absolute monster. It smells great. It gives you everything you want from the style. You've got that lovely big sort of bready, creamy kind of backbone, nice kind of smooth but punchy green component to it, and lovely big fruity characteristics. This is awesome, this one. Right. So the backbone of the beer, lovely fresh white bready bread crust. Yeah, fresh white bready bread crust in there. Little bit of wood, little bit of cracker, as you very often get. Tiny touch of like sweet brown bread in there. Fluffy white bread. You can smell a little bit of a kind of more bitey wheat out of this one at the back of the nose. The oats are coming out of this one, and they're a little touch drier actually as well. And you do have a little bit of sweetness to this one. There's a wee bit of that Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch, and a little touch of biscuit. As I've often said on the channel, there's 6 elements to think about when it comes to New England IPAs and their malty yeasty side of character. So you've got the more kind of farmhousey yeasty side of things. You've got the rye leaning grainy character as well. Those 2 elements are a bit more common in the New England brewed New England IPAs in the States. But then you've got wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and also the sweeter side of things. And those 4 elements, I would say, are more prevalent in the modern takes, if you like, on this style of beer. English grammar is terrible. But yeah, this one to me smells as if it's a little bit more wheaty leaning, but the oats are definitely noticeable. The barley malt is definitely in there. It seems like it's the kind of holy trinity, if you like, the barley, oats, and wheat that are the mainstay in this one, because it's not too sweet either. The yeasty side of this beer for me, at the back of the nose, there's lots of kind of fluffy and slightly dry white bread in there, a wee bit of cracker as well. Yeah, that yeasty note it becomes more prevalent in this beer the more that you smell of it. But yeah, hoppy character in this one is quite nice as well. Now, when it comes to brewing an IPA, there are 3 types of hoppings that you can do. Early addition hopping, which takes place within the first hour of the wort boil, that gives you the vast majority of your bitterness and a deeper, danker green component. You've got late addition hopping, which takes place in the latter half hour of your wort boil, gives you a little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, and a very kind of bright green component, if you like. Dry hopping takes place after the wort boil is complete. That's all about flavour and aroma, and it gives you a very bright green component once again. So West Coast IPAs use all 3 types of hopping, which is why they're deeper, danker, and more oily, whereas New England IPAs tend to rely on late edition and dry hopping, which is why they're softer, more juicy, if you like. So this one has that very characteristic bright green component that you'd expect of a hazy IPA. But for me, there's a teeny little bit of earthiness in there, lovely bright floral aromaticity, some grassy notes as well, and the green component gives you everything you want. In terms of the fruity side of the beer, I would say it leans a bit more toward the tropical side for me. I get a little touch of guava in this one, but very soft, like fruity, juicy notes to it as well, like juicy mango, soft apricot, pineapple all the way. I want to say Idaho 7 with this. I think there's Idaho 7 in here. Yeah, Idaho 7, maybe a bit of Galaxy, actually. I wonder if there's a wee bit of Galaxy in this. So yeah, I think passion fruit, mango, apricot, pineapple, and there's maybe just a wee touch of orange or gooseberry type note to this as well, but it's mainly a tropical leaning fruity character in this one. But the aroma is absolutely lovely, everything you would want from this style. So let's have a taste of it and see what it's all about. This is the Drift Hazy New England Double IPA, 8.5% ABV. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skull, cheers, yambe.
For me as well, like it's kind of fun again. It's real fun because working for Taipei, you can't brew it.
Now,
Unless you are.
I'm going to say straight away,
So all the breweries.
it's funny how some beers really give you exactly what you expect from the aroma. Some of them give you a different way. This one gives me exactly what I expect from the hops, but the malt base is a lot more oaty leaning than I thought it was going to be from the aroma. I thought this beer was going to have quite a bit of wheaty bitiness to it, and in fairness, it does have a little bit of it, but it's got a huge creamy malty backbone to it from the oats. This is a great New England double IPA, this one. If this is a one-off brew, that's a shame, because this is really damn solid, actually. So I think I'll need to say to them that they need to brew this again, because this is lovely.
Getting final combination for location for the brewery itself.
Ooh.
Zoning, equipment.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's really, really damn good. Yeah, for me, that's a lovely New England double IPA. They, these guys, as I say, very new brand, but if they can produce beers like this, they're going to do well. We can say that. So yeah, backbone of this beer then, lovely fresh white bready bread crust in there. The wee bit of woody character further forward on the palate, as you very often get. Layer of cracker above that. Layer of kind of fluffy wholemeal brown bread, white bread sitting on top of it. Then you get that more dense, wheaty white bready character coming out of the beer, and a little bit of, I would say, yeah, there's a wee bit of that kind of, there's that circle in the middle of your palate, and you can feel the oaty layer just sitting on top of that. If you go down the middle line of your palate, you can feel the nice creaminess from the oats. And as you go out toward the edge of your palate, you feel a little bit of dryness there. Remember, in a New England IPA, oats are often a very decent measure of how fresh the beer is. Essentially, the creamier the oats smell and taste, the fresher the beer is. The drier the older the beer is, the drier they're going to be. This one's very, very fresh. You get that lovely creamy character down the middle in your palate, and a wee bit drier further out toward the edge. But in the dead centre of your palate, you get that little circle there, where you've got the Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch coming out of this one, and there's a wee bit of biscuit surrounding that as well. I do wonder if there's a little touch of Pilsner malt in here, because you just get that wee bit of dryness further back from the palate too. But yeah. But malty character in this one is really damn good. On the back third of your palate, you've got all those bready layers that I talked about. The yeastiness sits on top. At its core, slight sweet brown bready character, fluffy and white bready around the edge, and then that little bit of white bready bread crust around the very edge of that too. But yeah, definitely back third of your palate, the flavour's taller. As you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it condenses down and squashes together. It's absolutely lovely. Yeah, malty side of this beer is really, really nice. Hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, very slightly earthy. As you move further forward, there's a wee bit of woody herbal character in there, and as you come further forward in this one, You get more floral aromaticity and some grassiness around the front curve of your tongue. There's definitely like some cryo oil or something like that in here. So your green component is lovely and smooth in this beer. But yeah, front third of your palate, then you've got all the bready layers underneath, then that oily bubble where the fruity, juicy esters push their way out of the beer. Let's focus on those.
Whatever year-round double pizza there is for
So yeah, the fruity side of this beer is really nice. I mean, at the back of that front third of your palate, it's all about, and in the back half, it's all about the tropical fruit. There's lovely big ripe juicy mangoes in there. Underneath that, softer passion fruit as you come further forward, like more apricot-y, pineapple-y as well. But then yeah, into the front half of that front third of your palate, there's definitely a little bit of a more kind of limey character, and just behind the front tip of the tongue. And I want to say like a nice kind of tangerine orange as well. It's quite hard to play guess the hops with this one because there's a lot going on the fruity side of things. It could be a whole number of things, but whatever it is, they've got a really solid blend of hops in here, which I think is great. So yeah, very, very happy flavor wise with this one, and I'm surprised. The only thing that surprised about this for me is that the aroma made it seem like it was going to be a bit more wheaty, whereas in reality, the malty backbone is a little bit more oaty leaning, I would say. But beautiful beer, this. In terms of the mouthfeel then,
that was also her gateway. It really is something that,
yeah, I would say this one is kind of top end of mid-bodied, bottom end of full-bodied for me. Smooth carbonation, a lovely, almost kind of creamy mouthfeel to it. Very, very smooth. IBU-wise, yeah, this one's got a little bit more bitterness to it, 40-ish IBUs. I think they told me earlier that this one had 45, just as a disclaimer. But yeah, I would have guessed this one was about 40-ish. The malt is a bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle. Very slightly sweet on top, almost like silky smooth. And then a lovely juicy fruity character. It's one mostly tropical, but into the aftertaste, so there is a wee more of a citrusy note to this. But yeah, this was the Drift, an 8.5% New England Hazy double IPA. Lovely beer, this, and yeah, very impressed with this one. I will say that, seriously impressed. So let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll go on to something else in a wee minute. But if you ever come across this one, I highly recommend it. Cheers. So yeah, guys, I noticed that over in the corner here, they had a bunch of the beer artwork and the beer labels just framed up, which I thought was a really nice touch. So yeah, let's have a little look at these. They've got the Overflow Hazy Double IPA, the Visibility Double West Coast IPA, the Drift Hazy Double IPA, Clarity West Coast IPA, then Chill Cold IPA. That would be really nice in the Taiwanese weather just now. It's a little bit reflective, I have to say. But then there's the Ascent, which is a hazy IPA, the Alpha Imperial Stout, the Omega, which is the Chocolate Imperial Stout, Serenity, which is a hazy IPA, Galactic Overflow, which is a hazy double IPA, then Sunset, which is double red IPA. That one would be right up my street. You don't see those all that often, but yeah, I have to say, this is a really nice little decorative touch. But yeah, I wonder if they're going to fill up the rest of the wall, because these guys are still relatively new. So yeah, have to say that's pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, time for tasting number 3 then here at Flow Brewing. So for this one, we are going to go to a style that I really do quite enjoy, and we're going to go to the kind of more bitter end of the IPA spectrum. So beer number 3 is number 3 on the tap list, actually. This one is called Clarity, comes in at 7.5% ABV, and this one is a West Coast IPA. So yeah, when this one poured, it had a lovely kind of half finger of a frothy cream-coloured head once again. You can see that this one is quite pale and quite golden in its colour, and it's crystal clear as well. So when it comes to the West Coast IPAs, for me, the spectrum of this style can be quite interesting. You've got the more kind of bready and biscuity West Coast IPAs, such as the Pliny the Elder from Russian River Brewing in California, and on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the more kind of caramelly, oily West Coast IPAs, such as the Sierra Nevada Torpedo. Those are the kind of benchmarks of the style for me almost in that sense. But yeah, just going by the colour of this one, this is definitely going to be a more kind of bready, biscuity sort of affair, but it looks absolutely lovely. Not much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, but as I say, it looks very, very nice. I don't think we really need to say anything else about the appearance of this one. We've talked about the hops and the technicalities of this style earlier on as well. So yeah, let's probably look at the nose of this one and see what it's going to have in store for us.
So I'm doing $3,000.
Oh yeah. Aroma-wise, I'm going to say straight away, this one gives you everything that you want from this style. Yeah, you've got that big, bready backbone, the nice kind of oily sweetness in there, the big sort of bitter hoppy character, and also that more oily fruitiness that you would want too. Yeah, I could sit and smell this one all day. As I say, it's a style that I really, really love, and I'm glad to see that West Coast IPAs are starting to become more kind of popular again. Yeah. Aroma-wise, this is absolutely lovely. So, let's break it down. The backbone of the beer, fresh white bready bread crust, a little bit of like woodiness to it, some Jacob's cream cracker. It's mostly like a kind of smooth white bready character in this one, but I do get like a little hint of wholemeal brown bread. Sweet caramel in there, McVitie's digestive biscuit, and it does get, the more that you smell of this one, the more oily I would say that it gets, but yeah. White bready bread crust, bit of cracker, bit of wood, touch of brown bread, lots of white bread, and in the back of the nose, you do get a little bit of that kind of pilsner malty dryness. But all in all, the malty base of this one is quite smooth. As I say, the sweeter side of it is really nice as well. But yeah, with the sweeter bready character, this one makes me think, yeah, American malt in this one, like two-row, American two-row. So yeah, the yeasty side of the beer, sweet brown bread and a smoother white bready character to it. The way that all of that goes together, I have to say, is it's really, really nice too. So yeah. The malty yeasty side of this beer, I think, is really, really nicely done. Yeah, you can sit and smell this all day. Let's focus on the hoppy side of things then to round off the aroma. There's definitely, with the green component, there's a little bit of earthiness in there, not too much. Nice little bit of there's a slight piney resin to this one. So there is a wee bit of, I get the impression there is a little bit of early edition hopping going on in here. Nice oily floral aromaticity. And you've also got that kind of bright, zesty kind of grassiness coming out of the beer. But the fruitiness in this one is really, lovely and oily and wet. So yeah, on the subject of that fruitiness, for me,
very formal and stiff boiled egg red.
It has, for me, there's a little bit of softer tropical fruit in this one. Like there's a little bit of mango and guava. You've got that little bit of sort of, I always found that guava is a little bit more like a very green mango, so I've got a feeling there's a little bit of guava in this one. Some juicy mango, softer like apricots and a little bit of pineapple and so on. But then yeah, I get quite a lot of like melon as well, gooseberry, and a little bit of a kind of berryish note, Enigma from Australia. Makes me think, yeah, maybe a little bit of Enigma. A bit of an almost watermelony note as well. So yeah, I'd be very curious to know the hop profile of this one, but yeah. An interesting array of fruits coming out of this beer, and it smells great. So yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beers before you get stuck in, but I think it's about time that we try this one, the Clarity. So yeah, Clarity, West Coast IPA, 7.5% ABV, very nearly a double IPA this one. Let's see what it's all about. Gambé.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so that lasts until Tuesday and Wednesday to be what's in there.
Ooh.
It's awesome.
That is, you know, when you say clarity, this one is very, very clean.
What it is, yeah. It was funny, they were looking at before we got blood issue.
I'm going to say though, that is really good actually. For a 7.5% West Coast IPA, that thing is incredibly drinkable. Yeah. Ooh.
There's a salt.
Again, another very, very solid beer from these guys. Flow really are doing something right.
Well, like a whole lot of skin there. They were all like shoved into this tank full
So yeah,
on the side.
Yeah.
where to start with this beer? It is, I'm going to say straight away, it's almost quite an unassuming beer. It's quite like, it's quite slick and quite oily and quite easy drinking. I think we can say that straight away. But yeah, the backbone of this beer, fresh brown bready bread crust in there on the base. There's that, if you go to the middle 30 pallet, there's the wee bit of wood underneath, the cracker on top.
It was her very first.
A little touch of wholemeal brown bread. Then you've got a more crisp white bready note out of this one. Further back on that, further back toward the back of that middle 30 pallet, you've got the nice little bit of like crisp, yeah, you've got that little bit of like crisp Pilsner malty dryness coming out of it, which I think is really, really nice too.
Decided to move back and open a bookstore. I was like, that's just a whole person.
So yeah,
Yes, my red.
on top of that, you get that little circle in the middle 30 pallet where the kind of brown sugary notes come out of the beer. And for me, it's got a little bit of a base. You can feel that McVitie's digestive biscuity character in the base. Then in the dead centre of your palate, you've got that more oily, you've got that big sweet oily caramelly note in the middle of your palate, and you can feel the concentration of the booze in the middle of the tongue there. But it's not overly pungent in that sense. It's actually quite sweet. So yeah, the multi-layers in this beer are really nicely done. If you go to the back 30 palette, you've got the similar, the same flavours, but the, you know, the layers are just that little bit lighter, taller, and more airy. The yeasty side of this beer, it's a bit more of a kind of grainy brown bready character at its core, and it's surrounded by like a softer white bready note as well. So yeah, the way that that goes together is really quite nice, and I think the yeastiness and the dryness that comes out of this beer into the aftertaste kind of lingers there a little bit. But yeah, I think we said everything we need to about the malty and yeasty side of things, but there's definitely, I'm pretty certain there's Pilsner malt in this, and it does give you that wee bit of brown bready, grainy character as well. But yeah, hoppy side of things then. Back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, you get a little touch of pine resin, some floral aromaticity. It's got a wee bit of like spiciness to it as well. Then around the front curve of the tongue, it's just got that little bit of lighter, more oily, grassy character as well. So yeah, the way that that goes together is really nice in this one.
Guidance tutorials for not traveling as much as I should.
But yeah, the hoppy character in this beer is nice and is really nice and quite oily. Yeah, it just gives you that little bit of bitterness into the aftertaste too. So yeah, it's not overly bitter, this beer though. But let's focus on the fruity side of it. So yeah, fruity side of this beer, at the back of that front 30 palate, there's a little touch of that stronger grapefruity kind of note in there. As you move further forward, there's maybe a little bit of like sharper guava. I think there's citra in this. I'm pretty sure there's citra in there. There's a little bit of grapefruit, some guava, oily mango. Underneath that, there's a little bit of pear. I wonder if there's a wee touch of cascade in this as well. But yeah, guava, mango, a little touch of passion fruit, softer apricot underneath, and as you move further forward into the front half of the front third of your tongue, I think there's a little bit of that lemon limey character, which again makes me think citra. But I also think there's quite a little bit of gooseberry, which makes me think like Nelson Sauvin. In honesty, I'm not getting too much in the way of orange with this one. I think this is potentially just citra and Nelson Sauvin. That would not surprise me, but if there was a little bit of cascade in there, that wouldn't surprise me either. But yeah, the fruity side of this one is quite nice, and you do get a little bit more citrusy character out of it into the aftertaste as well. But all in all, it's a really nice West Coast IPA, this one. It's got a little bit of modernity to it in terms of the mouthfeel, but it's got that more old school kind of flavour. So it finds a really nice balance for me. I think we can say that. Let's round off with the mouthfeel then. So for me, mouthfeel wise, this one, I'd say it's mid-bodied. It's right in the middle of the spectrum. It's actually very, very clean and very, very drinkable. The carbonation is very smooth in this one. As I say, it's actually quite a light, drinkable beer. Maybe we'd have to say it's at the bottom end of mid-bodied in a sense, but whatever, it's really, really nicely done. IBU in this one, I think, is, yeah, maybe about 60-ish IBUs. I think they told me earlier that this one was maybe 55, if I remember correctly. Because they gave me a run through the beers. They were actually really good on that. But yeah, the malt base, a little bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, sweeter on top. Bit of yeastiness and dryness coming out into the aftertaste. As I say, 55-ish IBUs, lovely oily fruitiness. This is a really, really good West Coast IPA. Very, very clean and very, very light, this one. And as I said earlier, it's definitely a more kind of bready, biscuity take on this particular style of beer. So, yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. This was beer number 3, the not the Serenity, the Class. So, yeah, let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll go on to something else in just a little second. But these guys can do a very good New England IPA, and they can do a very good West Coast IPA as well. So let's see what the menu throws up for us in just a wee second. Yeah, guys, so as with any good brewery, Flow Brewing have their own merchandise. So yeah, you can see they've got the black t-shirt here, which matches the neon light there over on the wall, and the brewery symbol, of course. So yeah, you can see on the back there, yeah, Flow Brewing Taipei. But yeah, they've got beer mats, as you can see there as well. The t-shirt is 1,000 Taiwan dollars, which is about, what, £25 sterling, something like that. They've got the hat in there as well, and the Flow Brewing glasses for 250. So yeah, a nice little selection of merchandise here then at Flow Brewing. All right, guys. Well, time for tasting number 4 then here at Flow Brewing in Taipei. So, beer number 4 is a style that I really do quite enjoy, but one that you just don't find all that often. So, to find one here was a really nice surprise. But yeah, this beer is called Sunset. It comes in at 8.5% ABV. And this one is a red double IPA, Imperial Red IPA, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, again, when this beer poured, it came out with a lovely sort of half finger of a sort of ivory cream-coloured head. And, yeah, this is a more sort of coppery leaning beer, this one. So, yeah, kind of copper coin sort of colour, if you like. You can see again, this one is very, very clear in its colour. There's really not that much in the way of visible carbonation with this one. So it seems like it's one of these kind of more old school kind of Californian amber, Californian red type IPAs, in all honesty. So yeah, it looks very, very nice, this one, but yeah, definitely more kind of coppery coloured. But potentially you could pass this one off appearance-wise as like a more caramelly West Coast double IPA or something like that. But yeah, looks nice. Let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one then and see what it's going to have in store for us. All right, okay. So it's got it does smell a little bit more like a West Coast double IPA, but it's just got a little bit more of a kind of red fruity type note to it. It's almost like slightly strawberry-ish in a way. There is a hop that can give you strawberry. The name of it's gone right out of my head. That something really setting off. You know, Enigma gives you that little red curranty type note. It's quite popular recently. That's going to annoy me now. But yeah, this beer, it's got kind of everything you'd expect from the West Coast red IPA, if you like, but it's just that little bit more oily and kind of juicy in a sense. But yeah, The malty base has a bit of bread, has that little bit of breadiness to it. You've got some lovely wee brown sugary notes in there, soft green component, and just a bit of oily fruit. But yeah, the backbone of the beer, fresh kind of white bready bread crust, wee bit of wood and wee bit of cracker as you very often get. Little bit of grainier brown bread in there, softer white bread, biscuit. A little bit of an oily caramel, but not too much. This one is a more kind of bready leaning red IPA. This, and if it was more caramel leaning, you would see that in the colour, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, brown bread, white bread, a little bit of biscuit, and yeah, more of an oily caramelly kind of note for sure. Yeah, at the back of the nose, the yeastiness, it's a little bit more like a wholemeal brown bread. We do get some more kind of bread crusty notes in there as well, and a wee bit of like woody crackery type notes. So yeah, it's almost got a little touch of that like red rye IPA type thing, but the bready character isn't quite oily enough and deep enough to be rye bready, if that at all makes sense. But yeah, I like what's going on in the malty base here. It's like a more sweet brown bready kind of character in comparison with the clarity that we reviewed earlier. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, there's a little bit of earthiness in there. Some nice floral notes as well. This one isn't too like piney or too spicy. Quite oily and quite grassy, but definitely a little bit more orangey leaning. And I'm getting a lot of strawberry out of this one. Strata was the hop I was thinking of. Yeah, something what makes me want to say Strata with this. Right. So the fruity side of things, it's yeah, so the hoppy side, a little bit earthy, a little bit floral, mostly leaning toward the grassy side of things. The fruity side of this one, a wee bit gooseberry-like, a little bit of strawberry. As I say, something makes me want to say Strata. Although I'll probably be completely wrong with that. There's a little bit of a slightly gooseberry note to this one. Nelson Sauvin, Hallertau Blanc, whatever. Enigma could be a shout too from Australia. So gooseberry, strawberry, and I think that's it, to be quite honest with you. I think it's there's maybe like a little bit of like apricot or pear or something in there, but this is, for me, this is mostly gooseberry, mostly kind of strawberry or something like that. Whatever it is, it smells very, very nice. Let's have a taste of this one. This one is Sunset, 8.5%, red double IPA. I think this is going to be good. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, right, okay. So, this one, mouthfeel wise and vibe wise almost, it's like a slightly oily and more sweet version of clarity, if you like. Yeah. It does give you a wee bit more kind of bready dryness into the aftertaste as well. Again, another really, really nice beer, this one. And, you know, it's kind of interesting trying the West Coast and the red IPA stuff here, because Taiwan is obviously a very hot tropical country. So having this kind of cleanliness and this drinkability potentially is something that would work quite well for flow. But yeah. Yeah, really good red double IPA. This one was quite different to the other takes I've had on this style. And bear in mind as well, this is a style that we don't come across all that often. So yeah, let's break it down. Backbone of the beer, fresh kind of brown bready bread crust. There's a wee bit of woodiness further forward on the palate. That woodiness in this one for me really does linger there. You've got cracker, wholemeal brown bread. Not too much in the way of white bread with this one, but again, I don't think there's rye malt in this one. Although again, this could be one of the things where North American rye is different from European rye and so on. But there's definitely a more kind of sweet, brown bready character in this one. Above that, you've got that circle in the middle of your palate where you get all the brown sugar. So the base of that is like a toasty caramel, and in the dead center of your palate is like a really sweet, oily kind of syrupy caramel. And into the aftertaste, you get a little hint of an almost leathery brown sugar out of this beer.
Yes, it's like some fucked up shit.
So, yeah, lovely mix of kind of brown sugary notes in this one. But yeah, leaning more towards a more kind of clean biscuity type note. On the back third of your palate, you get all those bready characters that I was talking about, and then above that, the yeasty side of the beer comes out, and at its core, it is like a slightly sweet, dense, almost rye bread, surrounded by a more wholemeal brown bread and a kind of toastier bread crust. And yeah, again, back third of your palate, the flavour is taller. As you come further forward into the middle third of your palate, it condenses down and squashes together. Yeah. So, multi-backbone on this one, very clean. But as with a red IPA, it does show you that little bit more brown sugary, brown bready kind of thing that you want from this sub-style. Hoppy side of the beer.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The green component on this one, it feels like a little bit more of one of the modern takes on this style. It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of bitterness. It's actually quite smooth, potentially some cryo oil or something like that in here. So quite a smooth green component, but yeah, into the aftertaste you're going to get more bitterness out of it. Back corners of the palate, wee touch of earthiness in there. As you come further forward, a little bit woody, and as you reach the front corners of the palate, kind of floral, and around the front curve of your tongue, definitely more grassy, but quite an oily green component and quite wet. Not overly bitter, this one, for sure. But yeah, the front third of your palate and the fruity side of the beer. This is one of the beers where the aroma and the flavour kind of agree with each other. They don't really diverge.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's kind of like first and foremost, it's just.
So yeah, that oily bubble at the front of you, on the front third of your palate with the fruity side of things. For me, I think there is the more that I drink in this, I think there's a slightly more orangey hop in here. So if you know, Amarillo could be a shout, Mosaic could be a shout. The earthiness in there makes me think Mosaic, and Mosaic is a bit more common than Amarillo these days. But yeah, there's at the back of that front third of your palate, there's maybe like a slightly oily, peary kind of flavour, and as you come further forward, there's a little bit of a kind of gooseberry-ish note. And I think I'm pretty sure on the flavour I was wrong about Strata or the more gooseberry type notes, because yeah, this beer, apart from the fruits, it does agree with the aroma quite well. So it's more orangey in the flavour than it is in the aroma for sure. I think this is there's a more kind of tropical hop in this one, along with I think Mosaic. But there could be a little bit of like Nelson or Enigma or something like that in here. But yeah, the fruity side of the beer, at the back of that front third of your palate, it's a little bit more kind of like peary, apricot-y, something like that. And as you come further forward, there's a little bit of gooseberry, but a lot of orange and just very slight like strawberry-ish character. Into the aftertaste with this one. This is a beer that's really tested my palate, and after 4,000 odd beers, you want things like this. The hop bill on this one's really got me thinking. I'd be very, very curious about that. Can you tell me the hop bill on this one?
Yeah. So it's a little bit interesting. You nailed Mosaic. And with the caramel malt and the play on that, you really like that jammy characteristic that the like blueberry nuts from Mosaic can give. Simcoe.
Okay.
And the one that's tricking you is Chinook.
Oh,
but
right.
it's a special version from Michigan. Well, we got a small crop of Chinook from Michigan, and that Chinook surprised us because it's normally like nice and piney. And
I see.
That version of that crop from Michigan surprised us with its light fruity elements inside of it as well.
Oh, okay. So Mosaic, Simcoe, and Chinook.
Yes.
Okay, right. Well, the kind of peary notes I was getting in this one then, that kind of makes sense. You know, if you mix Cascade and Chinook in like in an old school West Coast IPA, that makes sense. Simcoe, that's interesting. Yeah, Simcoe is a very versatile hop, I have to say that. So yeah, as I say, something that's really tested my palate. This, but a very, very solid, old school West Coast red IPA. This one. Yeah. So let's round off with the mouthfeel. Thank you for that hop summary, by the way. Yeah. So for me, top end of mid body. It's still very light and drinkable. This beer, smooth carbonation. Kind of has that oily and slick vibe to it. 50-ish, 60 IBUs. Malty base, a little bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, sweeter on top. And then, yeah, you've got that lovely oily, fruity note to it in the end. As we say, Chinook, Simcoe, and Mosaic in this one. So, yeah, very interesting stuff. I've really enjoyed this. So, yeah, that was the Sunset, an 8.5% red double IPA. That's the end of beer tasting number 4. We will be back with something else in just a little second. Catch you guys then. Cheers. Yeah, guys. So, as you would have seen earlier, they've got a fridge full of goodies. So, let's have a little look at this. I mean, up on the top here, I think they've got kombuchas and things like this. But then, yeah, down here, they have some of their own beers. The Omega, Imperial Chocolate Stout, the Serenity, Hazy IPA. They've got a couple of guest things in here as well. Verteri, one of my favourite Japanese beers. A quadruple from the brewery, which sounds very, very interesting, I have to say. There's another one in there, which I'm not quite sure about. I need to see what that is. But they've got a few things from West Coast Brewing, some Sierra Nevada in there as well, the Lübecker Helles from Sudden Death Brewing Company, Boneyard Beer, Double Bastard from Stone Brewing, some Fremont stuff, and then the Phantom Torpedo from Sierra Nevada. I've not tried that one, but yeah, they've got Deschutes. I forget what this brewery was called actually, but that was from Washington, this one. But then, yeah, Arpus, First Viacek, Stone, Dreifonteinen, a few things from Ode Biercell and Cantillon down there as well. So, yeah, quite a nice little selection in the fridge here at Flow Brewing Company in Xinyi in Taipei. All right, guys. Well, I was planning 2 further tastings, but we're going to kind of amalgamate them because these 2 beers have a little bit of a story. But yeah, joined by Joe for this one, Joe Merrill, one of the co-founders of Flow Brewing.
How you doing, guys?
Yeah. So, after we taste these beers, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Flow Brewing as well. But yeah, we have 2 Imperial Stouts for this one. This one on my left hand is the Alpha. The one on the right hand is Omega. These are both the first anniversary beers.
Correct.
For Flow Brewing. The Alpha is the base beer, but the Omega is the adjuncted one. But the Omega is the original idea.
Correct. So, yeah, for our first anniversary, our anniversary happens to be in the middle of December. It's a great time of the year to drink really big stouts. And that was, as we were getting the company set up, like, we were already prepared. Like, we're going to do a big stout for our first year anniversary. And the original plan was to do an adjuncted chocolate stout. It's something that my other co-founder, Tyler, has played around with a lot in his own experience as a home brewer. And then as we were going through that progress, we were thinking, like, also, the base beer, as we were going through R&D, tastes so good. Maybe this is a really good opportunity to maybe just release the side-by-side of the base beer and the final rendition of the adjuncted stout at the same time. Good conversation material, and also a good way for people to see how do we deal with multiple beers as well, and from a purist standpoint and from
Because what I will say is, when you come to Flow Brewing, you will find their beers are on the heavier side of things, for sure. I've had a very good night, let's just say that.
both of us.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, well, we start with Alpha then, and I usually do nose, appearance, nose, flavour, and then mouthfeel.
I think that sounds great. Let's start with Alpha.
So let's have a little look at Alpha then. So, cheers. So, well, both of these beers, just first off, dark ebony rosewood colour. If we'd done a full pour, nice head on them, I'm sure, like, dark tan.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, let's just go straight to the nose with these then. Right, I want to guess on this.
Okay.
So, guys, Imperial Stouts, there are a few ways to play with these. Double mash, barrel aging, long wort boil, adjuncts. Those are the 4 ways to play with an Imperial Stout. This one for me, I will say I would not be surprised if it's double mash. A little bit of a longer wort boil.
Yeah.
Am I right?
So a lot of it came into the extended wort boil, and honestly, we brew with our friends at Size Actual Brewing down south in Taiwan. A little bit of a history for you guys on why these are called Alpha and Omega. We brought these beers down, and we originally were incredibly excited. It was our first big beer that we did on their system. We designed this beer to essentially max out their system. So it was a massive malt addition that we added to this beer, about as big as we could possibly go. We call it Alpha because it's the first dark beer that we ever did on this system, and probably the last time they're ever going to allow us to do one again. The brew day itself was from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 3 o'clock in the morning the next day. And it was constant stuff mashes, all that sort of stuff. So it was a slightly extended boil combined with a massive amount of barley to get this in.
Right. Okay. Well, we go through the aromas of both then and see. I think is it fair to start with Alpha and then compare it to Omega and then go from there?
Absolutely.
Okay. So for me, and as the creator, feel free to disagree.
Yeah.
So for me, backbone of this one, it's got like rye bready bread crust, like chocolate brownie, it's got that phenolic-y type thing.
Yep. So being American, I also I grew up with like blackstrap molasses and that sort of like unsweetened dark sugar.
Oh yeah.
So very similar to like a treacle characteristic. I get a lot of that out of the notes as well.
I mean, I will say, guys, it's not quite leathery, but it's very like brown sugary and phenolic is fun. I think is a good way to describe this. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this beer, we designed it as a brewery to be drank fresh, and then also we wanted it to be aged out a little bit as well. For me, for Alpha right now, this is kind of exactly where I wanted it to be. Our 1-year anniversary was in December. This is the last keg that we have available of this beer. And now in August, I think after it's aged out for a little over half a year, it's really smoothed out and coming to its own.
All right. I mean, what this really reminds me of, I've said this in many of my sit-down reviews. This beer is very like Scottish, English Christmas pudding.
Yeah.
You put the brandy on it, you set it on fire. It's very much like that. It's a very treacly, molassesy type beer. This one, I mean, I get like the sort of nutty almond pecan type thing in the background. It's not really, it's not really vanilla. It's like treacle, molasses, Christmas pudding, like rye brandy. It's all about that. There's a little bit of earthy, woody, and grassy hoppy character. Grassy is on the back end.
Yep.
It's got a little bit of hoppiness to it, but your fruits are like plums, prunes, dates, things.
Precisely.
These kind of things.
And this is we wear our American roots on our sleeve at Flow. This is an American style Imperial Stout.
Yeah.
So you do get the hoppiness there, but the ideology is not to have it really be dry hop characteristic forward. There's no substantial dry hop at all in this beer. We want to have input bitterness to pair with the malt complexity here, but the malt is on the stage.
Should we compare Omega then?
Let's do it.
Oh, I mean, this reminds me, Omega model, Sweden,
Sure.
oil.
Yep.
And it's almost like, they add the flavor oils into the beer. It's very much like that. I'm guessing you added like cocoa nibs.
So yeah, let me give you guys a quick introduction about how we did these beers. Alpha and Omega, as you said, are the same base beer. We packaged out the Alpha first, and then we used a hop cannon on the side of the fermenter to recirculate these adjuncts into the rest of the beer after we get the packaging for alpha. And so the main ingredients that separate omega from alpha are cacao nibs, Madagascar vanilla beans, a little bit of a touch of cinnamon, and also to pair, because cacao nibs naturally can give a little bit more of that aggressive, like unsweetened chocolate flavor. A little bit of lactose to this beer as well to bring up the sweetness just a touch. We didn't want to go for pastry stout really in this beer. We think we have a lot of respect for big pastry stout producers out of the US, but for this one we wanted it to be a beer that can also be drank a full can of if you're just sitting by yourself, and really kind of emphasize the dark chocolate notes we really appreciated out of the alpha of this beer.
Because what I will say is, like, this one is, you know, the alpha is very much like old school
Yes.
RIS,
100%.
but on the sweeter side of the RIS. This one, it really does smell more like a modern pastry still.
100%.
100%.
So if you describe like alpha as like a chewier classic imperial American stout, that's exactly what we're referring to.
Ah, okay. Right. Well, so just to be clear, this one, you know, cocoa nibs, 30-40% cocoa milk chocolate, almonds, pecans. The vanilla is very obvious in there, and it has that sort of marzipan-y type note to it. All of this kind of thing. This is the omega is a lot sweeter than the alpha, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Right. I think we've brought the aromas quite well. Which one do you think we should try first? Alpha?
Let's start with the alpha and move into the
Right, let's do that then. There we go. Slancher, thank you for joining me. Proper old school anime.
100%.
Yeah. Old school. On the smoother, leathery, drier side of the spectrum, you know, not quite as roasty toasty.
Exactly.
But yeah, old school anime.
Yeah, so you get that viscous mouthfeel, the chewiness that I was talking about. Personally, when I make stouts, and Tyler replicates this a little bit, we have very similar ideologies when we make beer like this. There's a real critical element of a really well-made stout. If you want to round out the flavor, of having also a good amount of caramel malt that can serve as a basis for adding those layers of flavor and not just leaning into the darker roasts with stuff like this. And that's something we also have paid attention to with this beer. So that nuttiness, that caramel characteristic we get in the mid-range, combined with that still classic bitterness and a little bit of that toasty profile finish, is how we wanted to kind of layer that through as well.
Because again, I'm noticing a bit of a theme with the full beers. The it kind of reminds me of some of the Japanese stuff in a way. It's quite light and smoothie and it's drinkable, but all the flavors are there.
Yeah, so, I mean, for us, the key at the end of the game, whether it's our IPAs or our stouts or red IPAs like you tried or lagers, what we always come back to is balance of flavors. Drinkability is a big thing inside of that. And so how do we create robust, flavorful beers that are also balanced and drinkable?
Yeah, because I mean, genuinely in Taiwan and Hong Kong, that is the thing. It's the climate, you know, that does come into play.
Yeah.
So flavor profile of this beer for me, backbone of the beer, it's roasty toasty, malted on, Carafa. Alright. You can taste in this one that Carafa, so like a smooth, toasty, rye bready bread crust, wee bit of wood. There is cracker on top of that, rye bread, like a wholemeal brown bread, a kind of chocolate muffin, chocolate brownie type layer. A wholemeal brown bready layer above that. Chocolate, I mean, further back on your palate, you get the more bitter side of it as you come further forward, it's more milky. Yeah. On top of that, down the middle line of your palate, like rich molasses, sweeter and toasty caramel out the side. The yeasty side of this one, what is it like? The Christmas puddingy thing I was talking about on the back of your palate, yeah, that Scottish Christmas puddingy type thing. Nuttiness and all that in there. The hoppy character is there, but it's quite smooth. Earthy, woody, earthy, woody, gentle, smooth, yeah. Round the front curve of the tongue, grassy, front third of your palate, the fruity side, I'm curious to see what you think. If I get the fruity side of this right.
Okay.
I think we've been playing a bit of a challenge on the night, Joe's been listening to what I've been saying about beers. We've been talking about hops and whether I get them right or not. The question is Bramling's Cross, or what exactly is going on here. But the fruity side is quite like datey, pruny, sultana. Yeah, date prune sultana. Maybe a little touch of like on the very tip of the tongue, like blackberry. Yeah, I think that.
So a lot of what you're getting there actually is not, there's no dry hopping in this beer specifically at all. And so one of the things that we've really appreciated is those caramel notes, that treacle, that roast profile. That's always been with this beer. If you're going to look to age out a really high quality imperial stout, you need to start a little bit higher in the bitterness and then let the beer smooth out over time, over a half year to a year. And now that we're about 8 months into that process, a lot of what you're getting on the fruity side is just wonderful things that happen to stout as well as they go through that maturation process. That dark fruit characteristic, it's really been coming out really wonderfully in this beer as we've gotten into the fruition where we really think it's going to be in its ideal state right now. And then honestly for the hopping, it was mostly just the bitter addition, because you talked about the sweetness in this beer, and how do we counteract that sweetness with a refreshing bitterness in the finish to really make it an honestly balanced beer. So it's mostly just Magnum for really high alpha acids, bittering it out, and then the malt is speaking for itself for the rest of the flavor.
Oh, okay. It's just my previous experience makes me want to say like Bramling's Cross or potentially William Miller, which is the one from the American side of things. Yeah, but no, again, really solid, like old school imperial citizen, but yeah, smoother, leathery side of things.
And yeah, as we were doing the R&D for this, we were incredibly happy with how this base beer turned out, and it's been really cool to see people at the bar as well. When we had two side by side, two beers side by side that we're doing right now, and having that conversation about what the preferential beer is.
Okay, so we've done the original base beer. Now let's go to Omega and have a little look at this then. So sweet, yeah. The cocoa nips. The cocoa nips for me is the main thing.
Yeah. So the cacao in this one, I was talking with you a little bit earlier. Sourcing can sometimes be an issue for us a little bit in Taiwan. For us, this one as well, we did a bunch of R&D with slightly cheaper cacao that we were actually really happy with the flavor profile for. And when we were getting ready to scale this up for pure production, the cacao nib that we originally sourced wasn't available. So we had to go up a tier. These are very premium cacao nibs, and we kind of joke here at Flow where it's like we do a fiscally irresponsible amount of addition to this a lot of the times. But yeah, these cacao nibs at the end of the day, it ended up being absolutely incredible. And this sort of raw cacao flavor is the sort of origin of making that chocolate really awesome.
No, one thing I will say, if you try these two beers side by side, we'll say in honesty, it's a bit hard to believe this one comes from that.
Yeah.
Honestly, because the flavor really is. There's a big difference of degree.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say too, like pastry stouts for me, it's a hit or miss. This, if we were to consider this a pastry stout, this would be on the same do. I don't like the marzipan, the licorice marzipan type flavors you can sometimes get from these.
Yeah.
This drink's a little bit more like a slightly dry milk stout almost. Is that a fair interpretation?
I think that's a very interesting way to categorize it. I don't want to say too much. I'm actually interested to hear what your interpretation of this beer is, because we had a very interesting ideology with this that is still a sweeter style stout, but I think very much our own at the same time. So I'm interested to hear what you thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the usual thing with this then. So, as I say, these two beers, Omega is very different, and you could hand me these two beers, and I genuinely would not guess that the Omega is a daughter, if you like, of the Alpha.
Yeah.
So yeah, the base of this beer is like that. If you have a chocolate cake, the edge of the cake, then the chocolate sponge. There's like some nutty, almondy, pecan type flavors within that. On top of that, yeah, the cacao nibs, you get that cacao nib dryness and the back of the palate, but sweeter further forward. Leathery, the circle in the middle, you have leathery brown sugars. sweet caramel, maybe a bit of fudge.
Mhm,
into
absolutely.
The aftertaste. The yeasty side of the beer, though, is more like a chocolate muffin, but more nutty. I get like a bit more of a yeasty, nutty type note in this one. The hoppy notes in this one are less than the alpha, I think.
Yeah.
It has a bit more earthiness, and the earthiness is even smoother. And it comes forward on the sides of your palate, more woody. But the grassiness is the same.
Yeah.
The grassiness is definitely there.
And you had some interesting descriptors there. Oftentimes, how I'll describe this beer as well. That fudgy note. I'm from Michigan originally. We're very much known for our fudge in Michigan at the same time. And that sort of classic fudgy profile is something that we picked up a little bit in the base stout that we really wanted to lean into with this beer. So it's not going overwhelming with gravity, but emphasizing that dark chocolate note inside this beer was really one of the key aspects of all you wanted to do. There is some more sweetness here. You guys out there are listening and you want to get more technical, it's about 1 more degree of flavor higher of lactose addition in this one, really to pair with that cacao flavor inside of that. And there's a story about how we did this. So after we packaged out the alpha, we had some remaining beer inside the fermenter, which we designed for the Omega release. We placed it inside of a hot cannon. We recirculated it for 8.5 hours. And that was a real fun day at the brewery because what we did essentially was we were waiting for saturation point in the chocolate for what we wanted. So every 30 minutes or so, we tasted out the fermenter as it was recirculating. And we looked to ourselves and say, enough chocolate? No. Another half hour. Another half hour. Another half hour. And that's how we got to the 8.5 hour mark where we finally were like, this is the saturation point we want. This is the final beer we want.
Yeah, because that is a very smooth, maybe. You know, you've obviously got a hell of a lot of work into that, but it doesn't feel as if it's overly.
Yes. Yeah, once again, the balance and going back to that was a real key aspect to this. Not trying to go over sweet, making this a beer. We serve it in 500 ml cans, not draft as well, obviously. And something that people could still finish a 500 ml can of if they're a fan of these styles of beers.
I mean, I will admit, like, trying these two, if you buy cans of this is a share thing. I guess.
Yeah.
It's, this is share with a friend. Very good beers, but, you know, they are the kind of beers that will fuck your day in the best way.
100%. 10.5% ABV. They will take you where you want to go.
They're monsters. Fruity side of this one. This one's a lot more dainty, sultana. A lot more of that, just a little touch of like black currant into the apples. It's more like that. So yeah, both of these, this one is definitely more phenolic-y, and this one is absolutely more cakey, brown sugary.
Yeah, the adjuncts have a lot of customers at the bar will describe the smoothness of the Omega and the drinkability for that. Alpha, we describe it's very much a purist American style, imperial style. And for the fans of that, it's definitely the definitive favorite. We made more of the Omega because we thought this was the original intention for the beer. And I think most of the customers also appreciate that smoothness that we're talking about and how the addition of the lactose and the adjuncts really kind of holds it.
I mean, I do wonder, like, you know, you think of things like Dragon Stout from Jamaica.
Oh, yeah.
If you could replicate that kind of flavour in a lower ABV style, maybe you're onto something in Taiwan. That could be an interesting response.
I don't know. Maybe one of these days. We're going to stick with our high ABV for now. We're always thinking in the back of our head.
Oh yeah, just a random.
Yeah.
Right, mouthfeel. Just to round off these two beers. So. The Alpha, bottom end of full body. It's very slick, very oily. I want to say it. I mean, this beer gets more bitter and dry into the aftertaste. 60, 70-ish IBU. Roasty toasty underneath, more oily and slick on top, and a wee bit of fruitiness in the aftertaste. Quite medicinal, quite like phenolic for sure.
that sort of black licorice, black treacle characteristic in the finish. Also, my family originally came from the Netherlands. I like that salted licorice, really kind of unsweetened licorice flavor. I get that in the finish of this beer as well, and I really personally appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like Scotch ales for me.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
That kind of rings true. I have to admit, I struggle with the licorice thing a little bit. In it, though. Like, it's more treacly for me, but you know, as you said, we're talking about this point of reference. This one, the Omega, I would say everything the same except it's sweeter and smoother.
Yeah, the lactose really bringing it in, emphasizing the caramel notes, transitioning to like 80. I describe it as an 85% dark chocolate note. There's still a little bit of additional sweetness added inside of it, and the roundedness of the beer overall, I think really helped us out there. That was intentional on our part as we were going through, and I think that was raising up the overall gravity a little bit. I think was really the big factor outside of the ingredients we picked to choose this beer. One note on the cinnamon as well. This was one where if you tell people about the cinnamon, they might be able to pick up on it. But for us, that was very much an additional counterpoint to the beer that we didn't want to emphasize. Just one additional layer where if people search for it, they might be able to find it. But we intentionally did not do a lot of cinnamon. Make it a cacao forward.
It's only really obvious into the aftertaste. Like I think the cinnamon really only comes out in the aftertaste. But yeah, both very solid imperial stouts in their own right. Cheers. Just depends what you want. If you want a more old school RIS Alpha, if you want a more sweet stout, Omega.
Yeah, and exactly what we were going for, right? We wanted to do these, like increase the sort of dialogue at the bar. Go out, meet your friends, take both cans with you, have a conversation about why you might like one over the other, and learn a little bit about beer.
Exactly, yeah. All right. Well, quite a comprehensive look at the Alpha and Omega. We'll stop this section here, and then in a second we'll talk about the history of brewing.
You got it.
That's a wee second. Yes. All right, guys. Well, a nice kind of concluding segment of this video will be a little bit of history about Slow Brewing Company. So, Joe has very kindly agreed to talk to us about the history of both you and your business partner, Tyler.
Absolutely.
Your history in brewing and how Flow kind of came to be.
Yeah. Yeah, so originally, I spent about 20 years up until this point in Taiwan, and the last 12 years or so for me has been in the craft brewing community, and it's been really cool to see the industry kind of grow as I've been a part of it here. I think the Taiwan craft beer community is in a really cool spot right now. And I'd originally met Tyler immediately before I joined the community, actually in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practice. So Tyler, to this day, if you want to hit us up, teaches at EMA. He still teaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to this day. For me, I only did it for a couple of months, but I met a great friend. At that point, it was a guy you were rolling on the mats with, and made acquaintances. I didn't even know he was into craft beer at the time, but he was a face I recognized and someone that I kind of clicked with, just training at the location with him. And then right around that time, I was finishing up my master's program here in Taiwan. At that time in the Taiwanese craft beer community, there was some limited Belgian beer that was available, but mostly it was very much a macro lager environment here in Taiwan. I would go back on summer vacation. I would go to these amazing craft breweries in the U.S., talk with the owners, talk with the teams, meet with my friends, and then come back here to the environment that it was. And as I was finishing up my education, kind of looking at that and thinking about what I wanted to do next, I thought, man, maybe this is an opportunity to share something I've really come to love and appreciate about the American community in Taiwan.
So when you're finishing your education, what year are we talking about?
So this is 2012 going into 2013. Not my wife, I sat across the table from her, and I'm very grateful. We'd only been dating for less than half a year at the time. And I look at her in the eyes and I say, I have an idea. I want to start bringing American craft beer into Taiwan. Do you want to be my business partner? And I don't know why she said yes when she did at that point in the relationship, but it ended up working out. And we started a company together. I talked to a bunch of craft breweries, especially out of the Western United States, some from my hometown in Michigan as well. And there were people with our ideology at the time of doing full cold chain beer the right way and bringing it to Taiwan, and said yes. The first brewery that ended up agreeing to that was a wonderful brewery called Brewing out of Ashland, Oregon. And that was the first beer that my wife and I brought into Taiwan. And Tyler ended up showing up to one of our first events that we held in Taiwan. That was the first time I actually even realized that you liked it. We never talked about it previously in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And we realized, hey, I met this guy again. This is great. He told me he had some beers in his fridge, and we made an appointment essentially to meet up, try some beers, and talk over stuff. So craft beer do. And that turned into a tradition for us, where whether it was at my office with my import company or meeting at his house, every month or two, we would be at his place, at my place, drinking beers with friends, talking about flavors, and learning together about the beer industry. And around that time is when Tyler also is like, generating this appreciation for craft beer. I want to dive into homebrew. I want to learn about this. And I think for me personally, it's one of the things that, outside of being a tremendous friend and knowing him for a long time, I have a tremendous amount of admiration for with Tyler. When he's committed to learning about something, he dives in. He's incredibly committed, and he did that exact same thing with craft beer. It ended up being reading forums, going on and researching about beer was just the thing he started doing in his evening time. And very, very quickly, I started going over to his place and realizing his beers were incredibly good. Even right from the beginning, several months in, and how much they were improving incrementally as he was going. Tyler's palate is also one of the best ones that I've ever met of anyone in the beer industry as well. So that's kind of his gift outside of his diligence with the research side as well. He can pick apart flavors. And going to his place and seeing him self-criticize his own beers and realizing the modifications that he needed to make, it was really the direction he was going with the quality that he was making. And so for Tyler as a home brewer, before we started Flow, most of all of his experience was in the homebrewing side. He became multiple medal-winning brewer in the Taiwan homebrewing competitions. He submitted several beers to the Hong Kong homebrewing competitions as well. We were just talking about how we have a lot of mutual friends in that community from that at the same time. And all throughout that course of progress, I was having conversations. For me, what ended up happening was more on the commercial and business side. So I started my company, it was called Road Trading at the time, bringing in beers from the US and meeting people in this community here in Taiwan. Where that brought me to was people that were starting up breweries right around 2015 in the Taiwanese community. There was kind of a really cool second generation that was happening of people that were really kind of creatively opening up projects for beers that were manufactured in Taiwan. And one of those was Taihu. Taihu started up a beer bar ahead of their brewery. The ideology there was to let the community know about flavor. And so they had some imports that they were doing, and they wanted to set up a high quality, full chain bar environment where we could talk about beer, talk about flavor. I was one of the only people doing cold chain kegs. So it was a customer relationship that we ended up setting up. You need kegs, you've got kegs. Let's set that up. Did a bunch of tap takeovers together, met some amazing friends in that community. And after a couple of years of doing that, we decided that it was probably better to work together than working separately. So my company merged with Taihu in early 2016, and I worked at Taihu for 7 years in the craft beer community here in Taiwan. Started Taihu at a relatively small company, and we built it up into what it is right now. Incredibly creative people in that team doing wonderful things. And going back, one of the things I'll really talk about in Taihu that I'm very grateful for
is the creativity, the ownership, and the management team in particular will allow you inside of it. So if you are creative and you want to try something new, it will allow you to do that inside of Taihu. And one of the things that I mentioned is I've been a craft beer fan for a long time. I want to learn how to make beer. And so I became a brewer, not at the home brew side, but making 1,000, 2,000 liter batches with the Taihu team at the and I was able to do an internship there, which turned into some art processes later on in the at Taihu that they allowed me to do and extend that knowledge inside of them. And that went all the way up until about 2 years ago for us at Flow. And I was at that point in Taihu, always kind of looking at how the community was progressing. And Flow, as it is right now, is our culmination of a dream that both Tyler and I had, where we can do no compromise beers. What we kind of share as an ideology here is we make the beers that we like to drink and we share them with people. And previously, the whole brewing scene in Taiwan is only about 12 years old, as long as I've been in it, especially on the adaptive side. So I've been watching the industry, and as a passionate beer drinker, it's been really exciting to see that progress. And on the other side, you have to see it as a business as well. And this concept, especially after COVID, I started to really see it as being something that could also be run as a business. More and more pubs are opening up. More and more people have access to craft beer. And this is a really good jumping off point, I think, for a really great generation of high quality beer in Taiwan. So I talked with the Taihu guys about it ahead of time. I'm very grateful for their response. They always knew that this was a project that was in the back of my head. And the first thing I said was, it's like, guys, I'm going to give you a roadmap where I'm going to leave. Immediately they told me, that's amazing. We wish you nothing but the best. If you need anything from us, just let us know. Some of the hops that we drank in some of the beers today are from Taihu. So amazing friends that we stick around with all this time. And then I look back with Tyler. We've had 10 years or so of sitting on a back porch talking about beer. I sat him down at one of the Taihu bars and I said, I've got an idea. I want to start a new brewing concept. He's been pitched by a couple of guys in the past about this as well. He turned them all down, said he wasn't interested, wasn't going that direction. I'd heard about this as well. So I walk in with an hour-long presentation about what the plan is, what the flavor direction is, and all this sort of stuff. Immediately I said, Tyler, I want to start a brewing project with you. Immediately he's like, yeah, that's great. That's it. And I looked at him kind of sheepishly and I'm like, okay, well, do you want to hear the rest of the hour-long presentation? And he's like, Joe, if you want to, you can totally do that. But honestly, you're the guy that I would want to start a project like this with. I'm incredibly grateful for his choice. And then we immediately, with all due diligence, got started on this project. So right now at Flow, overall the mentality is no compromise views. Right now we're saying hello to the community with one-shot releases of the flavors that we really appreciate. And we're rolling from there. Really excited about, honestly, the next 5 to 10 years that will be Taiwan's craft beer scene as well. Outside of us, we're trying to do our best to make incredibly flavor-forward, balanced beers, but I think there's more and more high-quality beers coming out of Taiwan in general as well. And that ship is really lifting the overall scene.
I mean, I think at this point it's kind of fair to say, as of 2025, the Taiwan beer scene is still quite young.
Yes.
In a way. So we're sort of going to the almost nitty-gritty of it. And is Flow Brewing, Gypsy Brewing at the moment?
Yes, so we're very grateful as well. Also, because I've met so many great people over the last decade plus in the industry, we talked with a lot of personal friends, and we ended up Gypsy Brewing at our friends at Ty's Actual Brewing. They're an amazing group of people. If you guys haven't tried their beers yet as well, they have some amazing styles that are coming out. Their Flanders Red is a personal favorite of mine. And we talked with those guys, and we ended up deciding on them, despite the fact that they're a little bit further away. They're a little bit, people that are familiar with Taiwanese geography, there's Taipei in the north and Taichung kind of down south. They're about a 25-minute drive down south from Taichung. And we had a conversation, even internally in Flow, well, it's a little far, let's do our due diligence, let's meet with our friends. And what it really allowed us to do is brew our recipes at our style. We go down through the batches, we're there for the packaging. A lot of times in contract, really, not a lot of breweries would give them the liberty to make that sort of stuff side of it, and they're amazing with the ability that they've given us to be part of that process and really make recipes on site using their equipment.
So yeah, for the moment, also August 2025, Flow is a gypsy brewery
Yes.
with their own tap room in Taipei. But the plan is to have your own brewery where?
So right now we're looking at the East Coast of Taiwan. Geelong and Elon, I think, are really exciting areas. The craft beer community have. Elon in particular, I think, has a really exciting grassroots beer community right now that we could potentially turn into a really kind of cool beer tourism area in the community. I want to give some shout outs to the people that are here. Jim and Dad's is an old school part of that community. He's been doing it for years over there. Our friends at Black Drongo, who we currently have a collaboration brew on tap with, started out with a 100-liter brew house and have been building with the community ever since. They just had their first major expansion at their brewery. Really excited what those guys have to do next. And as of today, wish I could be there. I already sent my congratulations. Our friends at Aisha Brewing are having their first tap takeover on Drongo in Elon as well. So they're the third major craft brewery that's getting set up in that area. They're working a lot with locally cropped wild goose in Taiwan as well. Another exciting sort of take on saisons, farm sales and others.
That will be interesting to see us going for sure.
Which is really exciting for the progression. So definitely that area on the East Coast would be our first choice for searching for a location.
Okay. Well, safe to say there's interesting times ahead for Flow Brewing Company anyway.
Yeah, and if any of you guys are available, come on down to our tap room. We like to be on site a lot of the day. This is home base for us. We like to talk about flavors, whatever new is coming out. So if any of you have availability in the Xinyi district in Taipei, come on down, holler at us, and we're happy to talk about our news.
Definitely, yeah. We haven't really actually drank the beers on this segment. This is Drift. Potentially my pick of the beer, my pick of the beers that I've tried tonight. I'm sure I'll have something similar, if not this week, when you come and visit. So, yeah, no, Joe, thank you for joining me for this segment, talking about the brewery and the company. And yeah, I think this will probably be the very last segment of the video. So I'll give my final thoughts on Flow Brewing Company in just a second. So, yeah. Cheers, guys. Cheers, guys. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of my time then here at Flow Brewing Company in Xinyi, in Taipei, in Taiwan. So I have to say I had a really nice couple of hours here. I got to try quite a few different beers and all of them were pretty damn good in terms of quality. Joe, one of the co-founders, also spent a lot of time talking to me and filming things for the channel. So when things like that happen, it's always a little bit special. So I hope that's the segment of the video that you guys enjoy. But yeah, for me, in terms of the beer, we started off with the Chipmunk, which was a lovely American dry hop lager. Really enjoyed that. We went to the Drift, the New England Hazy Double IPA. That beer was potentially the pick of the night. Then we had the Clarity, the West Coast IPA, which I really enjoyed. Then we had the Sunset, the Red Double IPA, which I enjoyed as well. And then we went on to try the two different stouts, the Alpha and Omega. But yeah, all the beers that we tried here were of very high quality, I have to say. But I will admit, upon filming the kind of outro of this video, I am a little bit hammered because all the beers that we tried were pretty decent in terms of strength. But yeah, I will say that I'm really impressed with the quality stuff that these guys are putting out there. Flow Brewing Company are a very new operation, I think in the last 2 years or so. Have they started to get the beers out there a little more. So there is a lot to come from this brewery, and the stuff that they're producing already is great, so I'm sure that will continue going forward. But yeah, in total, I think I paid That's about 1,400 new Taiwan dollars, which translates to about 380, 400 dollars, about £40 sterling, something like that. That is about 45 US dollars, 45 euros these days, something like that. But yeah, for all the stuff we've got to try, I think that's pretty damn good value. The only thing that this brewery is really missing at this point in time is a little bit of, pizza or something a little bit carby to lap up some of the alcohol. I am told that is something they're considering fairly newly in the future. But yeah, all in all, a very, very positive experience during my time here at Flow Brewing Company in Taipei, Taiwan. So if you do find yourself here, I would recommend that you come and check these guys out. Unfortunately, I couldn't film outside because the lighting just wouldn't really allow it. But yeah, you can see behind me, the bar is still going here. I'm filming for you just before midnight after filming this video. But yeah, really positive experience here. I've enjoyed the beers. I'm a little bit worse for later, but that's what happens when you film these videos. Yeah, once again, thank you for watching. Check out my social media. Check out Flow Brewing Company's social media. Big thank you to Joe for helping out in this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed my tasting segments throughout this one. Until the next time, Slanjutsko, cheers. Check out my social media. Check out Flow Brewing Company's social media, and I'll catch you guys in another Out and About video very soon. This was Flow Brewing Company, Xinyi, Taipei, Taiwan, and hopefully we can film more in Taiwan going forward. Cheers just now. Jambe.